Hello, everyone. My name is Eugene Kawamoto. I lead the Redshift product management team here at AWS. So first of all, welcome to this session. So really excited to have everybody join in talking about what's new with Redshift today. So the Redshift team works with customers throughout the world, from fast-growing startups to large enterprises, and we listen to our customers' needs and requirements, and we reflect the feedback back into our roadmap. So in this session, we'll talk about what we've been learning from customers, analytics trends, and also focus on key investment themes. And together with me, I'm also excited to have Orly Bergnan, CDO of Schneider Electric, to talk about their journey of analytics and also how they're using Redshift today. So Redshift was first introduced in 2012 as a cloud data warehouse to serve customers at any scale. And we delivered various new features such as RA3s coupled with Redshift Managed Storage. We also introduced concurrency scaling to serve hundreds or even thousands of concurrent workloads. And then we also recently introduced data sharing to help customers share data across their organization. So today, we'll be diving deep into each of these features and new releases. So analytics requirements are now coming in from all corners of the enterprise, and data has changed the way we play, live, and work today. And due to these changes in how we consume and also produce data, we know the amount of data that is generated has exploded. And today, the majority of that data is now generated in the cloud. However, customers still struggle to enable all their data for analytics. And our customers need a scalable and reliable data service that can support this growth in data and also make sure they have the capability of analyzing all their data. Another trend that we see is that analytics are no longer only for data warehouse administrators and central IT. And analytics is now used throughout the organization. And as data is stored in multiple data stores, data engineers are constantly working to build pipeline to ingest and prepare data into their data warehouse. Developers, data analysts, and data scientists want to leverage data as part of their data on a day-to-day basis. And business leaders want to make sure they have business outcomes from their decisions to make smart decisions. So in order to support these changing requirements for customers, we've laid out what we call a modern data strategy. And this strategy is really focused on two things. One is giving you the best of data lakes and also purpose-built data stores. And as we see customers building more data lakes in the cloud, Amazon S3 has become that central data repository to build data lakes on AWS. In addition, as personas are evolving, we see use cases evolving together. And customers are using purpose-built data stores for use cases such as data warehousing, operational analytics, and also big data processing. And there's really no one-size-fits-all for data problems. And we believe in providing the right tools for your jobs so you don't have to sacrifice in areas like performance and scale. So now let's dive deeper into Redshift. So as Redshift has evolved over the past 9 years, we've been listening to customers and understanding how to make Redshift even better. And based on the feedback, we're focused on 3 investment themes. The first one is easy analytics for everyone. As we see personas evolving from central IT to business users, not everybody knows the bells and whistles about data warehousing, and they need some help. And Redshift's goal is really to provide an easy getting started experience where you can get insights in seconds and focus on your business outcomes. The second is around analyzing all your data. And as customers are moving to a modern data strategy with a combination of purpose-built data stores as well as S3 data lakes, seamlessly accessing your data, regardless of whether your data sits remotely or you're moving your data, is becoming even more and more important. And finally, with RA3 coupled with managed storage, Redshift provides up to 3x better price performance compared to other cloud data warehouses. And we'll talk further about these price performance advantages, as well as new features such as AQUA, as well as concurrency scaling in this presentation. So let's look into how customers are using Redshift to leverage their analytics workloads. So tens of thousands of customers are processing exabytes of data on a daily basis to take advantage of Redshift's advanced features. NASDAQ is a great example, which is a major stock exchange in the US that's ingesting tens of billions of market data into the S3 data lake. And time to market is key for their analysts to receive real-time insights on their stock market data. As NASDAQ is leveraging a lakehouse architecture to run queries using Redshift Spectrum to join data that sits in the local data warehouse and combine that with data that sits in the S3 data lake to get real-time insights. Magellan RX Management is a healthcare service provider that solves complex pharmacy challenges. And they selected Redshift as their core strategy for analytics and modernized their data warehouse. And by using Redshift, this has enabled them to reduce their operational costs by 20%. And they also leverage advanced features such as Redshift ML to perform predictive analytics to forecast future drug costs and also identity trends as well. And Zynga, a popular social gaming company with over 70 million users, migrated their data warehouse from on-prem to RA3s. And after this migration, they were able to double their ETL performance and also process over 5 terabytes on a daily basis. So let's look into how customers are using Redshift into each of our investment themes. And the first one's around easy analytics for everyone. So Redshift offers full control over your data warehouse cluster, so you can operate and make sure that you can optimize cost and performance based on different workload requirements. And while managing a data warehouse cluster is a core competency for data warehouse administrators, we see that customers want to expand analytics use cases to new personas who are not experts in data warehousing. So these customers are looking for easier provisioning and scaling of their workloads. And as customers are doing more analytics, providing an easy tool for SQL developers to quickly connect to the cluster and also collaborate with the other users and executing queries are becoming even more important. And finally, as customers continue to use Redshift to expand their use cases, they want to focus on business outcomes, not on maintenance tasks such as tuning their Redshift cluster. So over the past years, we've invested heavily to make Amazon Redshift flexible to allow you to customize capacity according to your needs. And these are things like the RA3 nodes coupled with managed storage to provide you granular control to get the optimal price performance, workload management to maximize throughput by setting query priorities, and things like vertical and horizontal scaling in case of peak demand, and also enabling pausing your cluster during idle time so you don't incur additional costs. However, as we discussed, data warehouse personas are expanding, and not everyone has the knowledge of managing a data warehouse cluster. So these are things like selecting instances, sizing, and also scaling a cluster. Also, if you have the knowledge of managing a data warehouse, there's still unpredictable workloads that really make it difficult to adjust the right capacity. However, customers don't want to compromise between rich SQL capabilities while also making it really easy to use a data warehouse. So in order to help these customers, super happy to introduce public preview of Amazon Redshift Serverless, a new compute option in Amazon Redshift. So Amazon Redshift Serverless makes it easier for customers to run scale analytics without having to provision and manage data warehouse clusters. So all users, including data analysts, data scientists, and also developers, can now use Redshift to get insights from data in seconds by simply loading and querying data into the data warehouse. And it's really simple to get started, where you can simply point your application to the serverless endpoint and start running your queries. So let's dive a little more deeper into the benefits of serverless. The first is around the simplified user experience. So as we discussed, customers can run analytics without managing a data warehouse cluster. And there's really no need to select node types, node count, and also provisioning clusters. So Redshift Serverless takes care of all these things behind the scenes. And there's no manual configuration needs for cluster configuration, such as workload management, to optimize query throughput, pause and resume, patching, as well as performance optimization tasks. Second is really around dynamic compute capability. As you see spiky workloads coming in, you may have a burst of end users accessing the cluster at the same time. Redshift Serverless takes care of this by automatically provisioning and scaling data warehouse capacity to deliver consistent and fast performance. The third's around SQL functionality and performance. So Redshift Serverless, you'll still get the rich SQL capabilities and performance characteristics of Redshift. So these are things like querying into the S3 data lake, querying other operational databases, and also using data share to share data with other organizations as well. And finally, you only pay for the capacity that you use. So in other words, you only pay for the query execution time, and you don't get charged for idle time. And also this pay-for-use model is applicable both for the local Redshift querying as well as querying into the S3 data lake as well. Another common ask we've been hearing from customers is to provide an easy-to-use SQL client tool to support the growing demand from end users. And Amazon Redshift Query Editor v2 is a web-based free SQL tool enables you to author and run queries on your Amazon Redshift data warehouse. So this provides capabilities such as the ability to browse and explore multiple databases, external tables, views, and also stored procedures and user-defined functions. In addition, you can also visualize your query results with charts and also collaborate by sharing queries with other members on your team. And there's really no need to access the AWS Management Console to get to the Query Editor v2. And you can access Query Editor v2 directly from your browsers. And end users can also use their own identity provider to log in. So data warehouse requires various maintenance jobs to get optimal performance out of your clusters. And over the past years, we've invested heavily to make automation easy for your maintenance tasks. Our goal is to automate as much tasks as possible so we can make sure that you focus on your core job. So for example, ATO, or automatic table optimization, selects the best sort and distribution keys to determine the optimal physical layout of your data to optimize your performance. And we've extended ATO to also modify column compression encoding to achieve high performance and also reduce the storage utilization. And finally, we're also introducing various different other features, such as auto vacuum delete and auto analyze over the past years. Next, in our automation features, we're really excited to announce the automatic creation and deletion of materialized views. So materialized views, or MVs, are a database object that contains the results of a query, enabling faster performance. And this feature provides all the benefits of MVs without the expertise required to creating and maintaining MVs on your own. So Redshift continuously monitors your schema, data, and also user workloads to identify potential MV candidates. And this provides benefits such as reduced query latency, reduced resource consumption, as well as without any manual intervention. Auto MVs are really created against cost of creation and also maintenance to determine whether MV should be created or not. And in case your MVs are not utilized as much, you also drop your MVs so you can actually benefit without using MVs in your clusters. So in addition to accessing Redshift through a SQL client or BI tool such as Tableau or QuickSight, customers are using Redshift Data API to access data from Redshift directly from their applications. So the Amazon Redshift Data API simplifies data access using common programming languages such as Python, Go, and Java. And Redshift Data API is used for different use cases, such as building event-driven applications, as well as automating ETL workloads. And thousands of customers are using Redshift Data API today, And a great example is Roche, a large pharmaceutical company that's using Data API for their business analysts to access data in Redshift through their Google Sheets. So a great example of a customer using Redshift Data API for third-party applications. So the last in our Easy Analytics for Everyone investment pillar, we're really excited to announce the Grafana Redshift plugin. So this is now available in the open source Grafana repository, as well as in our Amazon managed Grafana service. So Grafana is a popular open source tool for running analytics and monitoring systems online. And with the Redshift plugin, you can now query system tables and views for the most complete set of operational metrics. So this will help you get deeper insights, understanding of your cluster performance. And we also published a default in-depth operational dashboard to make it easier to start getting operational metrics on top of Redshift. So the next up is our second investment pillar, which is analyzing all your data. So as we discussed, we're taking a modern data strategy approach that gives you the best of both worlds between data lakes and also purpose-built data stores. And Redshift provides you the best integration across your data warehouse, operational database, and also your data lake. And whether you want to query data in place for faster insights or move and transform your data locally for better performance, we provide a set of tools that enables this integration across your different sources. So let's take a look into this modern data strategy approach from the Redshift perspective. So there's really 4 key trends that we see here. The first is around storing, as customers are storing more data in the S3 data lake, customers are leveraging Redshift Spectrum to query data into popular open standard file formats such as Parquet, JSON, and also Hoodie files. And our goal is really to support any open standard file format, and thousands of customers are using Spectrum on a daily basis to get various different insights on exabytes of data that sits in the S3 data lake. The second is customers are looking to share data across their different organization and also companies as well. And we introduced data sharing as an easy mechanism to share data across multiple clusters. And we also introduced the integration of data sharing with AWS Data Exchange, a marketplace to find, subscribe, and also use third-party data sets in the cloud. The third is, as more companies are leveraging data across their organization to get faster insights, a common request that we see is that customers want to query data in place without moving the data. So these are things like ad hoc analysis, where you might be performing a 360 view to understand customer behavior across multiple different data stores. So you can use federated query that enables querying seamlessly across your data warehouse as well as operational databases. And finally, as more customers are looking to leverage machine learning technologies to run inferences using Redshift data, we introduced the capability called Redshift ML to make it easier for SQL developers to run machine learning workloads on top of Redshift. And we'll talk more about this in later slides. So let's look a little more detail into some of these features. The first one is data sharing. So data sharing was launched as a simple and secure way to share live data across multiple Redshift clusters. So this enables customers to access data in live format in a transactionally consistent fashion without data copies or movement. So hundreds of customers use data sharing today. And a common use case is providing workload isolation so that workloads can be sized independently for their own performance requirements. And another is cross-organization collaboration, where data house management is decentralized and each business group has their own data warehouse. Cross-account data sharing has now enabled customers to share data across their different companies. And taking a step further, we're also super excited to announce a preview of cross-region data sharing, enabling customers to share data across Redshift clusters in different AWS regions without copying data. And finally, we're also adding several performance enhancements, including result caching and also concurrency scaling for the consumer cluster. So result caching will help query execution time by caching the results in memory, and concurrency scaling will allow you to have smaller cluster but also burst in case of high concurrency spike requests. So as we enabled data sharing across AWS accounts, which now enables customers to share data across companies, a common request that we've been hearing from customers that they want to access data over a data marketplace. So they have access to third-party data sets. And with Amazon Redshift and AWS Data Exchange integration, we're making it even more easier to find, subscribe, query, and analyze third-party data sets in a marketplace that sits in Redshift. So there's no need to extract, transform, and load data, and you can use the latest data sets as soon as it's published. And ADX manages the subscriptions, billing, and payments through your AWS account where you can directly access common data sets. And ADX currently provides 3,600 different products in 10 different categories, such as financial services, retail, healthcare, and life sciences. And with this new integration, we're also supporting popular data products such as FactSet, Mathematica, Foursquare, and others. And customers have been asking to integrate machine learning capabilities into Redshift. We're also introducing Redshift ML to make it easier for SQL developers to create, train, and deploy machine learning models using familiar SQL commands. So Redshift ML allows you to use your data in Redshift to create and train machine learnings using Amazon SageMaker, a fully managed machine learning service without requiring you to become an ML expert. So ML models will be deployed locally within Redshift to run inferences at scale. And Redshift ML supports both supervised and also unsupervised machine learning for advanced analytics use cases, ranging from things like forecasting and also personalization. And with the latest release, you can also use K-means clustering for unsupervised learning for use cases such as customer segmentation. And Redshift ML also supports bring your own model for pre-trained SageMaker models. And we have hundreds of customers using Redshift ML today. And JobCase is a really great example where Redshift ML is used to recommend search content at scale. And they improve their revenue and also engagement up to 10% by leveraging this feature. So that they make more than 1 billion predictions in less than 7 minutes, heavily utilizing Redshift ML. Okay, so next up we have our guest speaker, Orly Bugnant, CDO and Senior Vice President, Data and Performance Management of Schneider Electric. So Orly, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Eugene. So hi, everyone. I will talk to you about what is the data strategy a little bit for Schneider Electric and how we partner with AWS over the years up to now. So let's talk a little bit about Schneider, what is our mission, etc. First of all, we all have been in this pandemic story about 18 to 20 months now. So we all know that COVID-19 has been the best accelerator of digital. In Schneider, we think as well that globalization, urbanization, and people density is also one of the reasons why we are all here. And it's very much linked to our climate change challenge. And we do think at the same time that the technology is the key of solving that common issue that we have for humanity. And we are very trustful that we'll make it through that thanks to technology. So that's where we think. To do so, in Schneider Electric, we try to build a new feature. And really, by looking at climate change and reduction of emission, while really enabling humanity to access to basic rights on reliable energy and access to digital, which we do think it's basics for the future. And to do so, we need to go 3 times faster. 3 times faster in electrification, because we think that it's the key things on decarbonization. 3 times faster on the decarbonization of production of electricity, and 3 times faster as well in terms of efficiency of processes, energy consumption in general. And to do so, we do think that we are the trusted partner for our customer to do so. And we try to help our customer on many different things like Digitization, we help them to strategize as well their digitization. We help them to execute that, execute efficiency, execute sustainability, and we help them to reiterate on their sustainability strategy at scale. In our world, we try to make our customer greener, and not only on greenwashing, but like on concrete example, and to try to make this world a better place. And by doing so, we try to work on both sides of the equation. By leading by example in our ecosystem, so we eat our own food, and also by being part of a solution for our own customer. This distinctive DNA that we push over the years in Schneider, it's quite externally recognized, so you have many of our recognition that we have, and one of the biggest things that we are very proud of is like Corporate Knights mention us as the most sustainable company in 2021. So we are extremely proud of this recognition. So we are the digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. When you look at our portfolio, it's 2/3 regarding energy management, 1/3 in the industrial automation. As you can see, we are spread around the world, and we try to be as close as our customer as possible, and have really the footprint of our supply chain following our customer as well. We definitely have a multi-hub strategy, so when you look at Schneider, it's not like only a Paris headquarter company, it's really an international company. And we continue to invest extensively in R&D for digital, for software, for sustainability, but not only. I have multiple conversations over the day regarding what is data dilemma for Schneider Electric. At Schneider, we are extremely proud of our legacies, and we are also extremely proud of all the acquisitions that we have made over the years, and that made and shape really the portfolio that what we have and who we are. So just to give you some number, we multiply by 3 the size of the company over the last 15 years, and which means that from a data management standpoint and data usage, data consumption, it's a major challenge that we try to solve collectively with my team, and Bashar and Kim are here today to accompany us. Our vision in terms of data for Schneider Electric is really to have a data-backed execution of a strategy for Schneider. As we are very close to certain critical infrastructure provider and users as well, we are extremely touched by regulation, and we take that seriously, and we try to really be in advance of phase on that one. And we try to build a data strategy and trusted data at scales, going from how we can accompany a decision supply chain by a data supply chain. And we do think that we'll make it happen by governing really the data management from the creation of the data to the consumption of the data. To do so, we try to engage with the entire company on that one. We have 3 golden rules, simple golden rules to respect our data architecture. One is regarding authoritative sources. The second one is regarding common referential to permit scalability. And the last one is where AWS is a very key partner on that one, is regarding data platforms. So how we organize the convergence, how we organize and govern the usage of our data, and making sure that we have an end-to-end approach on the data management, going from the creation to the consumption of data. And it's a technology play, it's a governance play, and also a processes play. To do so, at the core of our data store landscape, we have a data lake federation. One of the biggest data lake that we have is a enterprise-wide data store that cover most of the company data. But we also have a kind of network of data lakes that we operate together in a data federation mindset. We try to make sure that all of this is performed under AWS technology stack, and we try to make sure that we are extracting data and operational sources, so like static and also transactional data. We try to push also a strong strategy regarding reusable data object that can be really how from data which is governed and cataloging done and definition done, we can reuse really definitely this data in many different use cases. That could be in supply chain, that could be in line of businesses, that could be on financial data. And we also, in terms of data visualization and usage of data, we generate insights through a multi-vendor visualization strategy, because as you can imagine, we are not like single source by that one. So in terms of big data journey, big data architecture journey, we used to have, as many of you, a kind of enterprise-built data hub for transactional data. And over the years, we started a partnership with AWS very closely, going to now to 10,000 of users, leveraging the enterprise-wide data lake. Regarding our data store landscape, really what is supporting our decision supply chain, our unified data layer and analytical data layer is on Redshift. We transfer from DC2 nodes to AF3 recently, and it really permits us to decorrelate the storage approach from the compute approach. And regarding our technical advancement, we try many new things. So I'm quite excited about what has been presented by Eugene earlier regarding cross-account sharing and cross-region sharing as well, because it's really at the core of our main challenge in that Schneider Electric, operating our data federation. We do also pilot with AQUA, that has been mentioned earlier. So excellent partnership on our side, on the technology side, and really AWS is at the center of what we prepare from a data strategy standpoint. So Eugene, based on that, I'll let you the floor. So thank you.
Thank you, Arlie. Super excited to see how Schneider Electric is leveraging Redshift together with RA3s, and also having tens of thousands of end users is a very scalable use case that we see on top of Redshift. So let's dive into our final investment pillar, which is performance at any scale. So Redshift's core tenet since its inception is to provide the best price performance at any scale. So in particular, we've invested heavily over the past year in out-of-the-box performance. So for customers that just started out with Redshift, you still get best-in-class performance. And as you add more data, we make sure to deliver not only strong performance, but also consistent price performance. So our R3 nodes, managed storage, and also concurrency scaling has enabled customers to start small and grow to petabytes of workloads. And now you can use AQUA to also boost your queries even further. We've also run benchmarking studies to compare our out-of-box and tuned price performance using TP-CDS benchmarks, comparing ourselves with other cloud data warehouses, where you can see that we've also outperformed in both cases using 3 terabytes of data. And the RA3 nodes are the base technology for a price performance advantage, as well as a key technology for further innovation. So we introduced the RA3 technology, or the node types, to allow independent scaling of compute and storage. And RA3 leverages managed storage as its durable storage layer, which allows near unlimited scalability, where data is committed back to S3. So this enables new capabilities such as data sharing, where RMS is used as a shared storage across multiple clusters. And RA3 is also available in 3 sizes, the 16XL, 4XL, and XL Plus, to balance price performance depending upon different requirements. In addition, we're also happy to introduce that the RA3 XL Plus, our smallest node type, is now available as a single node cluster. So this will be convenient for customers that are splitting workloads into smaller chunks, such as in use cases using data sharing. And we've also introduced a DS2 to RA3 reserved instance migration capability that allows RAs to be converted at flat cost between equivalent node types if you still use DS2s. So let's look into how Redshift coupled with RA3 managed storage can serve multiple different workload patterns. So Redshift offers you the full flexibility to support various different use cases. So Redshift efficiently utilizes compute resources in a cluster to maximize performance and throughput with automatic workload management. So you can specify query priorities that allows you to allocate the usage of resources based on business priorities. And with concurrency scaling, you can elastically scale your cluster to one or more workloads in a cluster to handle high concurrency and query spikes without any application changes. And finally, with data sharing, you can now handle diverse business critical applications that need flexible compute requirements and also providing workload isolation in a multi-cluster environment. And you can also use WLM and also concurrency scaling on both data sharing producer and consumer clusters, allowing full flexibility. So let's dive deeper into each of these capabilities. The first one's workload management, which helps you maximize your query throughput while optimizing resources of your cluster. So WLM was initially launched in 2019 with the goal to fully automate cluster resources. And we also added various different automation capabilities with WLM with adaptive concurrency to enable Redshift to dynamically allocate the amount of memory to queries to optimize your query throughput. And optionally, you can also define queue priorities manually in order to allocate resources based on your business needs. And we've also implemented an advanced ML predictor that predicts the resource utilization and runtime for each query. So concurrency scaling was launched in 2019 to handle spiky and unpredictable read workloads without having you to pre-provision any capacity. So it enables you to handle thousands or even tens of thousands of concurrent user demand. And Redshift offers 1 hour of free concurrency scaling every 24 hours of usage of your main cluster. And it also provides cost controls to monitor and limit your usage to keep costs within your budget. In addition to read queries, we're also announcing support for write queries, which is a big ask we've been hearing from many customers. So concurrency scaling with write queries will support common operations like insert, delete, update, and copy. And with this feature, you can now handle spiky write workloads in addition to read workloads such as ETL batch workloads that may run periodically on your cluster. So building on the RA3 platform even further, we launched AQUA, our advanced query accelerator, in 2021. And AQUA is a new distributed hardware cache that allows Redshift to deliver an order of magnitude faster performance using large scans and aggregations. In particular, AQUA is best processing large amounts of data close to the storage layer, so less data needs to travel over the network, and where avoiding the challenge of the network becoming the bottleneck for processing data at scale. So AQUA is built on the first of its kind hardware, custom hardware for cloud data warehousing and analytics that includes AWS designed ASIC and FPGA chips. And it allows you to process common operators like compression, encryption, large scans, filtering, and aggregation orders of magnitude faster compared to what you can do in a general purpose CPU. And AQUA is available in the RA3 nodes with no additional costs, with no requirements to change, with no code changes required. And we've also invested heavily to enhance Redshift in various areas such as SQL syntax to support additional operators, new data types for further flexibility, security enhancements for further fine-grained access control, and also various tooling support as well. And we introduced operators like recursive CTE for hierarchical queries, data queries, and also hyperlog for count distinct problems. And we're also excited to support unload to JSON in addition to text and Parquet support that already exists. So users can now unload their data into the S3 data lake in JSON format. And we've also added capabilities such as pivot, unpivot, that allows you for simple conversion of rows into columns and vice versa. For data types, we support semi-structured data, with our super data type, a very common ask that we've been hearing for customers that want to ingest and also process JSON data in Redshift. And we also recently announced varbyte support, a popular ask that are coming from customers that are migrating from other data warehouses such as Teradata. And we're also announcing a new geospatial data type, geography, together with our geometry data type. So this will greatly expand for various different use cases for spatial workloads. And finally, for tooling, we recently announced RSQL, a command line tool that supports BTIC scripts, a commonly used script for Teradata. In addition to that, we're also providing native support for various different open source tools, such as SQL Alchemy, Apache Airflow, as well as Querybook. So today we covered a wide breadth of various new features during this presentation, and velocity continues to matter, and we continue to innovate fast to provide features to help our customers even further. So for next steps, I highly recommend going into and learning further about each of these features even further. So we have various different sessions that are diving into each of these different capabilities we discussed today. So thank you for attending this presentation. We can actually come up to the stage, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them here.